Okay, something else that's going on today is so we have, after what, 2 years or more, we have sold our house. Um, and I say we because I'm now remarried. And when I started this channel, I was not married. I had just had a very, very hard, emotionally difficult breakup. And through that through that breakup, much awakening occurred. Not awakening necessarily uh, on a spiritual in a spiritual sense, but an awakening to a releasing of control for me. I and still I'm sure I have much to release. But for much of my life, I had in my mind the way I thought I needed my life to be, the way uh, I thought the person that I shared my life with had to be a certain way. And what's really funny is when that breakup occurred, there were a lot of trust issues that went on there. And, that's one of the, I I would say that is a relationship breaker in that sense, is that trust. Once the trust is broken, you both people have to be fully on board to rebuild that. And it is hard to rebuild even if both parties are aligned to that goal. But that didn't wasn't the case for that relationship, and I was hit rock bottom. I had hit rock bottom emotionally. And so I really needed to take a look at who I was, what my place is and in the world, and uh, really who I am. I had to really connect with who I am, the divine aspect of me, know myself as that. So hold on one second. Thank you. My arm was getting tired, so I had to pull the pedestal out. Okay, so back to the story. So I had hit rock bottom, and I needed to assess. I needed to really connect with the truth of things, um, because I had believed so strongly, and I had really believed that that relationship was the last romantic relationship I was going to have in this life. And I had put, as we would say, all my eggs in one basket. And when the world came crumbling down, because that was the most important thing to me, was the idea, the concept of that relationship. And I had invested so much in it, that when I had to accept that that was not what I thought it was, obviously, because it ended, right? Um, I had to come to terms with a lot of things that, once again, I've had to come to terms with many things throughout this lifetime, and here was yet another. And I did that, and Spirit told me, so I got really, really into meditation. I got really, really, and when I say I was really into meditation, I took time throughout my days to sit in stillness. I'm not going to say I was meditating for hours and hours and hours. I wasn't. But I took time to sit in stillness. And I took time that um, when my emotions would come and be, um, when I would feel really strong emotions and not know what to do with it, I would go to stillness. I would go to stillness. So fast forward a little bit, Spirit told me that I was going to move to Indiana. I have family out there that I never got to know. So I took a trip out there for just like 5 days or something. And on my way home, the Spirit said that I was going to be moving to Indiana. So I was like, wow, that's a big shift. I had not even considered that. So at that point, I put my house up for sale. That was a couple years ago. I put my house up for sale. I moved to Indiana. While I was in Indiana, I did spend time with family. And I just, I was still, all of this is in transition. And while I was out there, my friend and I had come to the understanding that we, and this is, I guess I should back up a little bit. This house that I had, that I'm still currently in, which is now sold though to someone else. My friend then, he was my contractor that built a large addition on this house. The large addition I built on this house, I did so because of that relationship before it broke up, because that man had two children and I had 2 children, and we needed more bedroom space. And so I put out a feeler on social media and asked if anybody knew a good contractor that would work and would be really affordable, because I didn't have $100,000 to build an addition on my house. So a friend connected me with this contractor. This contractor, oddly enough, I had met many, many years before through this friend at a gathering at her house. I had met him, and he was very angry at that time. He was a very angry person, and that energy was present. And so I met him that one time, many, many years passed, and I met him again to bid the job to build the addition on this house while I was in relationship with someone else. So the contractor and I got to work together a lot, because I did a lot of the finish work and I participated wherever I could in the process, because I worked and whatever. But a lot of the finish work I did myself with his instruction. So he would assist me with instruction and sometimes even assist me in the work. So we got to be very familiar with each other on a friend level. And when I had this breakup, now I understand, because he was doing this job so affordably, and he would say, and he has said, he actually didn't get paid. The money I gave him was not even enough to buy all the supplies, but again, he was, something in him moved him to make this something he needed to do. So I'm going to say Spirit was working there. And he said it made no sense, because he wasn't going to make any money, but he felt this really strong, like he needed to do it, like it was something he had to do. And so he squeezed in working here while he was working other places. I didn't know that at the time, but of course now that we're married, I know that. He did a lot of things to try and to get that to happen, and it still took over a year to build this addition. Now it is a 500 square foot addition. So, and we had, it's on pillars. So we had some issues here because, anyway, we had some weather that slowed down some things, and on and on and on. And of course, because he was working other jobs while he was working here. He wasn't able to be here, full days. But anyway, it took over a year, closer to a year and a half, to build this 500 square foot addition, which is a master bedroom and on master suite. And that time allowed us to actually get to know each other quite well. And we worked together and we had a good time. And when this relationship, the relationship I'd been in, that romantic relationship, when that ended, oddly enough, the partner I'd had reached out to my contractor friend and said, "Hey, call Missy, she needs your help." And again, here we were again working together on another project. So at this property. So here we were working together again on this project, and again started spending more time together. And when I left for Indiana to move out there, my heart was breaking. My heart was like, it felt like it was being torn from my chest. Suddenly on the drive, it's supposed to be like a 9.5 hour drive. It ended up being like a 13.5 hour drive, other complications. But as I'm driving to Indiana, I'm like crying and I'm asking myself why I was so sad, like what's going on? And I kept having visions of my contractor friend and I in situations that we had never been in before, like walking together, holding hands, these kinds of things. And this had never happened. And I was like, not understanding, disbelieving is better. I was disbelieving these visions because my contractor friend, at that time, he smoked cigarettes, and I am allergic to cigarette smoke. I know now. I'm allergic to something in the tobacco. I don't know what it is, but the smoke or the even chew, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but I have an allergy to it. I don't participate in, I don't drink alcohol. Not to say I would never drink alcohol, but I don't drink alcohol for the enjoyment of drinking alcohol. I don't buy it. I just don't. I think alcohol has its place medicinally, like if you want to use it for mouthwash and things like that, but I don't drink alcohol it's just not, I tried it years ago and it just, wasn't my thing. So, my understanding was that he was still a daily drinker back then. That wasn't true, but that's what I thought. So as I'm driving out to Indiana, I'm like, but we're not right for each other. There are all these differences, and I don't do addiction. So I have no place in my life for addiction anymore on any level. And those things just rub me a certain kind of way. And so I just thought, this can't be. This can't be. By the time I got out to Indiana, it was very clear, because I had questioned it. Like, it was very clear that I had great affection for my friend, and even more than what I thought. Because when I thought about moving to Indiana and finding a house, and who I wanted to help me get that house ready and whatever, and I was like, well, of course he's got to come out here, and how am I going to get him out here, and to do this stuff. So I got to thinking about it, and I was like, he's kind of my favorite person. He's kind of my favorite person. Even while I was in relationship, I think my friend was my favorite person. And that I'm not even going to get into special relationships, okay? But there are certain people that you just really, mm, there are certain people that we really like to be around. And he was that for me. He was that person that I really liked to be around, you know? So by the time I got out there, my heart was thoroughly torn to shreds. And I communicated with him and said, this is what's going on, and I don't understand it, but I think, there's something here, and I'm just telling you how I feel because this is what's going on. And it took, he was, in shock, but once we both sat with it, we were like, oh my gosh, yeah, we really have this serious love for each other. But it was different because it was a love that was like a best friend love. And just because you have this really, really intense friend love, this very pure kind of love, doesn't mean you can cohabitate, doesn't mean you can live together, doesn't mean, right? We we i love people, but I really like my space too. I love people, but and I really like my space, so there was no guarantee that just because we loved each other on this level that we could be anything other than the best of friends. Well, so while I was in Indiana, you know, we decided we were going to give it a go. We were going to give it a go. And it didn't make any sense because, you know, I said, you can't smoke in the house, which he already knew from having done work at the property. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how it's going to work out. Well, and he was in Pennsylvania and I was in Indiana. Well, so he decided he was going to move to Indiana with me. If that's where I was going to be, he was going to move with me. Really crazy, he was going to leave his business and move to another state with me. Okay, I had already closed my business for this, so okay. So we fast forward a little bit, and I had been staying with family in Indiana, and it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. And I said, okay, I'm coming back. The house didn't sell. My property hadn't sold yet, and it wasn't working out where I was. So he came and helped me move back. So I moved back into the house, a few boxes, only as we needed to. We opened boxes, and I don't know how long it took, and we got married. So it went well. All things considered, it went well. So we got married, and now the house has sold. And you might say, well, why didn't you stay? Well, here's the funny thing. When I came back to Indiana, or I came back to Pennsylvania from Indiana, we thought about that. We're like, do we even want to move? Do we even want to move? It's a beautiful area. We have the best neighbors. Do we even want to move? Well, we had to ask what we wanted for the next life experience. Like, what do we want? And I said, okay, I want goats for milk because I really like goat's milk. So I want goats for milk, and I want chickens for eggs, and I want a greenhouse to grow my own vegetables, and I want to have all this stuff that I don't have to go all this stuff. I want to have these things that I don't have to be dependent and reliant on a grocery store, or like that's where I'm at. So he said, well, if that's what we want, we need more land than what we have here. So okay, then, and we want mountains. And I was like, I have a mountain view here. I have a beautiful mountain view here. someone else has it now within the next so many days. But I'm like, I want a mountain view, and okay. And I want half wooded, half cleared, and all right. So the house sells, and we need to move within 30 days. So we start looking for properties. Now, over the course of the last 2 years, several properties have come for sale and have been sold. And I get my heart set on things, and like certain ones that I really liked, thought I really liked, and they'd sell. And it was, sad and disappointing. And now our house is sold, and we need to find a place to move to. So we just put an offer on a house. I don't know if it will be accepted, but it is a property that needs a lot of work. So when I sat with, what do we want to, what do I want? Well, I want a mountain view. Oh, I want good water. And, because I have that here. I have great water here. I have a mountain view here. But I also want mountains. And what that means is I want to be in a higher elevation. For whatever reason, that's where I'm inspired to go. So this property came up, and it is like a bank owned, needs a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work. And should we get that property, I have a social media page for our construction business that I will put pictures up on. I mean, it needs a lot of work. I'll put before and after pictures. Anyway, but as soon as I got there, I was like, this is it. Like, this is it. This is the property. It's got some acreage, not a lot, but enough to do what we want. It's so massively overgrown, and the house has been so neglected that it needs a lot of work. And when I was asked, kind of spirit asking me, coaching me, like, what is it that you really want? And I'm like, well, I want a project house. I would have really loved it if we could have at least moved in, but I want a project house. I want to be able to make it what we want it to be. Okay. I want a mountain view. Well, this one does not have a mountain view, but it has trees. As a matter of fact, it has less cleared area. It is mostly, I mean, there's a small patch around the house, and the rest is trees. So I did get trees if this offer is accepted. So what's really funny is I was like, yes, we found it. We found a place to go, and we put in this offer. And then today, we actually just put in the offer yesterday, and today I get an email of a property that's for sale. And I open up this email, and the property in this email is everything I said I wanted. Has a mountain view, has a cleared area, has more acreage than the one we just made an offer on, and all this stuff. And the potential was there for me to feel like betrayed by my guidance, or to feel, like, oh man, I just put, some kind of way about that. And I looked at it, and I was like, it's got everything I asked for. And yet, we put an offer in on this other one. So one of two things are going to happen. Either the other one, the offer is not going to be accepted, and we will pursue this one that just came up, or this offer is accepted, and this is a better situation for us, even though what I thought I wanted was the mountain view, what I thought I wanted was this, what I thought I wanted was that, right? So as this happened this morning, I realized, I was like, oh, somebody else might be really upset by this. Like, oh my gosh, my dream property just came up for sale. And, but I don't know that. I don't know that that is my dream property. I can see that it has the mountain views. I can see that it has, that it is the style of home that I was looking for. I can see, and I don't know. I don't know what anything is for. So just like, I said about before my husband and I got together, I didn't think it would work out. I couldn't imagine how it could work out because he was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day and I'm allergic to cigarette smoke, things like that. What I didn't realize was, I don't even know how long we were together. I moved back here, I think within 2 weeks, he quit smoking. I mean, just quit. He was like, there was a small issue where it became obvious that I had a reaction. It wasn't a strong reaction, but I had a reaction to the cigarette smoke. Actually, it was transfer, skin to skin, like, from whatever. He talked with someone who works in the field of allergies, and that person in that medical field told him that it was dangerous for him to be doing this if I have this allergic reaction, because it could be bad enough to really hurt me someday. And he said, you know what, I'm done. He walked in the house, he was outside, he was actually smoking a cigarette on the phone with this counsel regarding allergies. And he came in the house, he handed me the open pack of cigarettes and the unopened pack of cigarettes, and he said, here, do something with these. I'm done. I quit. He'd smoked cigarettes since he was like 15 years old. And, he said it's not worth it. It's not worth it. If it's going to cause your body to do whatever, it's not worth it. He said, I'm not going to take that chance. And that was it. He was done. And he never, he never went back to it. So, and that was something he thought he could never do. He said to me, I don't think I can, I've tried. He said, I've tried in the past to quit smoking. And he quit just like that, So, and I'm not going to say it wasn't rough. I mean, he had like the first couple weeks was rough for him. He was chewing a lot of gum, but then it was gone, and now he's, if we go somewhere where there's that presence of that cigarette smoke presence, he is more, I would say, turned off by it. It's, to him, it's more noticeable, I guess, because he just quit. How many years? 2 years ago? Almost. I guess December. Will December be 2 years? Maybe December will be 2 years, I think. So anyway, but there again, my mind said, no, that's not a possibility because, he does these things. And my heart said something else. And so I listened to my heart, and it just worked this time. This time it just worked because I've listened to my heart pretty much my whole life, and at times was of a mind that I was paying the price for having listened to my heart. But what I realized was my heart brought me everything that I needed. Everything that I needed, even if it was pain and suffering and sorrow. Everything that I needed came so that I could level up and level up and level up and level up. And what I mean by level up is let go of all these things that don't serve me. Let go of it, let go of it, let go of it. When I told him that my heart was breaking, leaving because I wasn't going to be around him anymore, that I was felt like I wasn't going to see him again. I was being true to my heart at that time. And I can see now that even though it is a rough road, it is a rough road to listen to your heart and to live that way until you reach a point where you've cleared a lot of that stuff out. And I'm, still clearing stuff out, but it's not nearly as painful as it has been. I don't have to hit rock bottom anymore. I don't have to do that anymore because I have let go of so many of those things that somewhat controlled me, which is also probably why I felt the need to control my life, my experiences, because I was allowing, see, that's how it goes, because I was allowing other things to control me. In other words, so many other things influenced my decisions. And I wasn't being in stillness. I wasn't being in that calm, peaceful place of God that I thought I was, but I can see that that was only the beginning, right? It was only the beginning. And I'm not saying I'm at the level of mastery. I'm not saying that that's where I am. I'm saying that I can look at where I've come from, what I've experienced, and how I have handled those experiences, and who I am today is very different than who I was then, as far as the ego integration, as far as which part of me I allow to make my decisions or inform my moments, and that kind of stuff. So just today, what happened was that we put an offer in on a house yesterday that I can see being really great. I can see that we can make it something amazing, right? And that it will serve us really well. And right after that, the very next day, I get an email with a property that checks every box on my list, and there was the potential to feel angry. There was the potential to feel in it like I'm in a state of lack. There was that potential, and I was just like, well, if the property we put the offer in on is not the property for us, the offer will not be accepted. If that's not what's for us, it won't happen. And that's the difference. That's the difference between who I am, how I'm expressing today, and how I expressed in years past. In years past, I may have been like tortured about it. I may have been like stomping my feet and, clenching my teeth. But today, the way I express is God is in all things. This is God. And what is right for me, what is for my highest good, will be what happens. It is what it is. And if this offer is accepted, and this is the property, then I have no doubt at all that it is the property that is best for us, for our highest good. Whatever that means, that is what it is. So that's all for now. In your moments, Be mindful of who's informing your moments. Be mindful. Understand that everything happens for you, not to you. It is all happening for you. Maintain that truth. Maintain that awareness that you may be blessed, because you are. Will you know it? Peace and love.